Who's the Boss? Won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about WarGames. Yeah, home of the WOPR, baby.
Figured we'd end the month with another case of almost nuclear annihilation. Well, except in the first one they actually did.
Right.
So this was the better outcome of...
He was still playing the game. It was just a game, Adam.
Yeah. I love you always say that, and it makes me think of Eddie Deason, and he never said that line.
But Eddie Deason's like this,
Yeah,
Adam.
that's true. He's a little
He's different.
more nasally.
Kind of a nerd than our buddy Rod Broderick. Rod Broderick.
Rod Broderick.
That's Matthew Broderick's dad. He was a adult film star. Rod Broderick.
Sadly, I didn't include this, but Matthew Broderick's father died shortly into production.
Yeah, well, thanks for ruining my joke. Old Rod Broderick.
Well, I mean, they threw a party for him because he was the greatest male porn star of all time.
He was. They called him the Brick. Rod the Brick Roderick.
They didn't call him the Rod.
No, it was weird. It was more like a brick. It was
All
weird.
right. Wow, we've
Square.
gone so completely off topic already.
Yes.
Shall we play a game?
Yeah, let's WarGames. I'm so excited. I had not seen this movie in a long time.
No, and watching this movie just flew me back to 1983. It's summer. I didn't get summers off. Maybe then I did. I was on the track system as a kid where you're on and you'll get like 2 weeks vacation every whatever.
More year round, yeah.
That was awful. It was completely year round.
That sucks, yeah.
And I think maybe by this time, because I think I was at Grace Lutheran, I think I had summers off. But it's just the summer, swimming, getting out of the pool, drying off, going to the movies, baby. And this just was, I told you this yesterday, I have to start having popcorn with peanut M&Ms mixed in during these movies, because then it's just like, I'm back there.
I understand and I agree, but we're actually working, Jim. This is not for fun.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm kidding. I agree. We totally should. I could totally make popcorn.
Okay, then I'll have
get a hold of some M&Ms.
I'll have broccoli and salmon while we watch these, so it'll punish myself.
Yeah, I obviously did not see this in the theater because I was only 4 or 5, but I could totally see that. I would have really enjoyed seeing this in the theater.
My youth was spent in the movie theater. I've said before, my mom was a real estate broker, and her office was next to a sixplex. And I would go to work with her, especially during the summer or on breaks, and she'd drop me off, and I'd see 2 or 3 or 4 movies and just bounce and with my snacks. And
I wish I did that when I was growing up.
Oh, it was the best. I had this friend, Andy something. Andy.
That's a weird last name.
Something. Yeah, he was from Yugoslavia.
Okay.
Andy. I don't remember Andy's last name.
Yeah.
But Andy was kind of a nerd, and he kept track of all of my movie viewings, because I went, and I think one summer I saw every movie that came out at least once.
He was your movie secretary?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
He loved stats. He was
did you ask him to do this?
No, not at all. He was a great kid, but he loved stats, like baseball stats, and he would, he was a statistician, and he loved numbers and stuff, so he took it upon himself to track my movie going.
Wow.
And determined that I had seen every movie that came out that summer at least once.
My very first class in college in film school, there was a kid stood up and held up this journal, and it had a listing of every movie he'd ever seen. It had like 6,000 movies in it. And all of us let a collective groan of like, please God, we don't want to be in a class with this guy.
Hey, excuse me. Hello. I just wanted to share with everybody, in case you're interested, and I'm sure you are. Here is my movie journal. It's got over 6,000 movies, very detailed descriptions of my feelings and how my state of mind during it, the snacks that I ate, and a 6-star based system. I've made copies for everybody in the class in case you're interested.
It was like being there. That was crazy.
That was me. It was me.
I imagine your friend Andy and this guy whose name I don't remember are very similar to Eddie Deason in WarGames.
Andy was just like a big, soft, lovable guy who was like just the sweetest. He was like a puppy dog.
Yeah.
Just this big, sweet guy. And the one thing I remember about Andy that was so sad is he was at home with his grandfather, and his grandfather died in front of him. And he called me, and he's like, I'm alone, and my grandfather's dead. And I'm like, I'm 11. I don't know what you want me to do. You know, it was like so.
Andy, much like you, I am 11.
Yes. But poor Andy, that effed him up. And
Yeah, that's
so.
not good. Watching any adult die in front of you.
And he was super close to him. It was just poor Andy. Such a sweet kid, too. One of the sweetest kids I've ever known.
The first girl I ever dated, her mother died in her arms. Yeah.
Because she murdered her?
No, it was a car accident.
Oh.
But she became an alcoholic at like 15. Yeah.
Well,
bad.
I get it.
It was bad.
That's a lot of survivor's guilt and stuff.
It was bad.
What other kids do we know that either their parents died horribly or they died?
This is the funny thing about this movie is that, and we'll talk more about John Wood, who plays Falcon later, but the whole time they were so close to nuclear annihilation, and every time they cut to John Wood, he's just smiling. Like, you're going to figure this out, kid.
I know. Oh, yeah, it was all like this mentor-mentee.
But weirdly inappropriate.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to die.
No, you can do it. You know what the word is. well, tell me, man. We have like 6 seconds before it figures out the code. Oh, I'm not going to give it to you.
You got this. You got this.
Oh, you got it. Oh, if you don't, everybody dies. Stakes are high.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically, he wanted that to happen.
Can I tell you about some dinosaurs?
All right. Well, take yourself back to 1983.
Yeah.
January 1st, the migration of the ARPANET to TCP/IP is officially completed. This is considered to be the beginning of the true internet.
Thanks, Al Gore, for creating
Al
the
Gore,
internet.
yeah.
You know, that whole, that was all made up. Like, he never claimed that he had invented the internet or anything. It was just some BS.
Wait. Are you saying there are political opponents just making things up about their opponents?
Adam, this is a dark day for you. I'm going to burst your bubs.
I can't...
Politicians lie.
I can't believe politicians?
Yeah. Public servants lie, Adam.
Yeah, well, he did not create the internet. The Army created the internet.
Army created the internet, not me.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of things for it.
That's Al Gore.
Did Al Gore
Yes, he
become
did.
Forrest Gump?
Well, you listen to Al Gore, and I'll tell you, he sounds just like this.
No, he doesn't.
He does, Adam. He does.
He absolutely does not. But I'm questioning it because I haven't heard him actually speak in like 10 years, so I've...
Hey, man, bear, pig, Adam.
God, all right. February 16th, the Wah-Mee Massacre sees 13 people killed in an attempted robbery in the Chinatown area of Seattle.
Wow. What?
Seattle. The movie's set in Seattle.
No, okay, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me what this had to do with WarGames.
No, I just wanted to know,
It was the
More about
robbery.
it.
The robbery went. I will do more. We can talk about more at the Stepdad show. But I believe it was a robbery that just kind of went wrong, and a lot of people died.
ugh, it's like the hi-fi murders. You remember that
Hi-Fi
case?
murders, yeah. And it's like the beginning of Reservoir Dogs. Like they're going to just steal some stuff, and then all of a sudden it's just bam, bam, bam. He's just shooting people.
That's why you don't bring hotheads on the job, Adam. You gotta
Speaking
be
of
professional.
Speaking of Michael Madsen, he's in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, and talk about hotheads. Then there's Heat.
Yeah.
With Wayne Grove. Hothead.
Hothead.
Ruined it.
Always.
Is it Michael Madsen in that too?
I think he is actually. If I remember
Maybe.
correctly.
Just feels like Michael Madsen's in every crime.
He plays. He played a different part in this, and we'll talk about it.
He
but,
was a beautiful young boy. He was
was.
so good. He was such a good-looking young man.
He definitely still came off as being kind of dumb.
He came across as honestly, I thought he was great.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he's great, but
Both of those guys were great because it's a very subtle but complicated scene.
it is. It is.
And his reactions are really very subtle and very, when he's like, turn the keys, sir, with the gun pointed
Suddenly
at him.
there's a gun, and it's like, whoa, buddy.
The other guy's like, I can't do it. I don't think I can do it. Oh, please forgive me, please.
I'm going to hazard a guess that scene was probably shot by Martin Brest, and most of it was Martin Brest.
It was a great scene.
Yeah.
What a great opening.
Yeah.
And then we find out, just a test. And nobody got shot.
No, of course not.
Which I thought he got shot. That's another Mandela effect thing because I
You
thought
thought he
that
died.
Madsen shot
Shoots
him.
and then pulls the Inspector Gadget arms and pulls both keys.
No, I thought he shot him, and then it cut.
Right.
And then it was like, it was a test, but the guy got killed during the test. Like, it was a serious test.
Oh. That would have made the movie very different.
But
Yeah.
no, we see them walking in when they're taking their chairs away, going like, mopey mopes. I guess we don't have a job.
John Spencer just standing over the guy while he's working on the computer thing.
Plus, don't you think he'd get fired or at least reassigned if he was proven to be not able to do his job?
Reassigned. I mean, they said 22% of them didn't do it, so I'm guessing they reassigned all of them.
Seems low.
I mean, technically they did reassign everybody because they turned it over to a computer.
The WOPR. It seemed kind of scary that only 22% said no.
Well, I mean, the other 78% or whatever actually had good army training and followed their orders.
Okay. Thank you, General Patton. You going to slap me for being a coward?
April 22nd, a reactor shutdown due to failure of fuel rods occurs at Kursk nuclear power plant in Russia. So June 3rd, WarGames is released in the United States.
Shall we play a game?
Yes. Okay, well, development on WarGames begins in 1979 when writers Walter F. Parks and Lawrence Lasker developed an idea for a script called The Genius about
A dying scientist and the only person in the world who understands him. A rebellious kid who's too smart for his own good.
You know, if you didn't know any better, you would think that also was the logline for Back to the Future.
It's the logline for all these nerd movies.
These 80s scientist movies, yeah.
They always had to have some, rebellious, not-so-smart teen. Except Matthew Broderick's really smart.
No, he is. I mean, he's a hacker in this. Like, he knows what he's doing.
No, he's really smart. And as they say, he's too smart for his own good. An underachiever.
Yeah.
Because he's bored.
He's bored with regular school, and he wants to go do fun things.
Yeah, like sit in his bedroom topless.
Changes
changing
grades.
numbers and changing grades.
Lasker was inspired by a television special presented by Peter Ustinov on several geniuses, including Stephen Hawking.
Peter Ustinov. You remember Peter Ustinov? He was bigger than life.
Yeah, he was, yes. Lasker said,
I found the predicament Hawking was in fascinating, that he might one day figure out the unified field theory and was not able to tell anyone because of his progressive ALS. So, there was this idea that he'd need a successor, and who would that be? Maybe this kid, a juvenile delinquent whose problem was that nobody realized he was too smart for his environment.
yeah. The concept of computers and hacking as part of the film was not yet present.
You and I were both too smart for our own environment.
Yeah, there was a lot of us that were too smart for our own environment. That pretty much sums up the Gen X crowd.
Pretty much. All gifted kids with nothing to do.
Yeah. This was Lawrence Lasker's first film to be produced. He comes from an entertainment family. His mother, Jane Greer, was a film noir actor in the 40s.
She's great.
Yeah. His grandfather, Albert Lasker, helped revolutionize marketing in the 30s.
Okay.
He worked with politicians a lot. His step-grandmother, Doris Kenyon, was an actor. His brother, Alex Lasker, was also a writer, writing 1982's Firefox with Clint Eastwood and 2003's Tears of the Sun with Bruce Willis.
Both mediocre films.
Tears of the Sun is the only movie I've literally walked out of.
Tears of the Sun is the reason why Bruce Willis has aphasia. He got smacked in the head by
really?
like a mortar thing.
Oh,
and
really?
That was the beginning of his...
I just saw Demi Moore just posted a thing with his family for his birthday, and he seemed like he was doing pretty well.
I hope so.
Like
Poor
he
guy.
was singing along and joking with people and stuff. Like it was nice to see him be a little like himself.
Yeah, well, he's not... I mean, it's not like he's gone into full dementia yet.
right.
And, it's a horrifyingly slow and painful and awful process. But unfortunately, they think that an accident that happened on this set is the reason why.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that
it was
sucks
it was
because Tears of the Sun was not a good
no,
movie.
he had a traumatic brain injury apparently
That sucks.
from the accident.
So Lawrence Lasker's other brother, Stephen Lasker, has won 2 Grammys for Best Historical Albums for a Billie Holiday collection and a Duke Ellington collection.
Okay. It seems a little, I don't know, weird that somebody gets a Grammy for putting together a mixtape.
Well, he has 2 Grammys.
All right.
I mean,
Okay.
I know, I agree. It's a little odd. I don't know. I assume they were like remastered or something.
I'm sure he did
mean,
something to produce it.
I don't think he just threw them together and goes, "All right, Grammy, please."
Sitting there with a dual cassette rack and like, okay. By the way, Firefox was a pretty fun movie.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's Clint Eastwood, and he's got to steal this experimental plane called the Firefox.
Okay, that sounds more familiar now, but I still don't think I've seen it.
He was getting a little old to be playing the part that he did, but this was also about the time that Clint Eastwood became super into bodybuilding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he was this pretty
Good
buff.
old
Yeah, he was
rough
like
and buff.
He looked good. He was running around without a shirt on with his big old buff bod.
Wow. Big old buff bod. Walter F. Parks was 28 when he sat down with Lasker to write The Genius. In 1975, he directed and produced a documentary, The California Reich, that focused on a rising neo-Nazi movement in California.
Yeah, it's in Central California, outside of Davis, and it's still there.
Yeah, he was nominated for an Oscar for the doc, and if you want to, it's on YouTube. You can totally watch it.
Yeah, if you want to be really upset.
Yeah, it was interesting because the way he presented it, he did not have any narration. He just let it go and let the people present themselves.
That is the best way to show this type of
Yes.
disgusting behavior, is just let them dig their own graves. You don't need any sort of editorializing. You don't need to tell people what to think. Just show them what it is.
True.
Although there's probably a lot of people in the country now that would see it as a good movie.
Yeah, okay. He and Lasker would continue to work with each other after WarGames. Lasker wrote and Parks produced Project X in 1987 with Matthew Broderick in that it's a chimpanzee movie.
The chimpanzee's flying the spaceship.
It's funny because I think I saw Project X more than WarGames just because of the timing.
Yeah.
It was on TV all the time.
Yes. It wasn't bad. Wasn't it like he was training this chimp to go into space?
Yeah.
Bonded with the chimp, knew the chimp was going to die, and then kidnapped the chimp?
Yeah, they were like killing the chimps, like pushing them so hard that they would die. And it was a very animal positive movie.
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't be doing this with these animals. And it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it.
I did too. I was a huge fan of his back then.
Yeah. I mean, I technically am a fan of his.
I'm still a fan of his. I don't know why I said back then.
Back then.
He was great. I don't know if you saw the Modern Family episode.
Oh, yeah.
Where he played, he thought he was on a date with Phil.
Yes. So good.
It was
His
hilarious.
comic timing is so good.
He's still so great. He's got the tiniest little nipples, though. They're very distracting.
Oh, my God.
Matthew Broderick and his little teeny nipples.
Funny enough, I didn't notice his tiny nipples, Jim.
That's the only thing I noticed.
Wow. Okay.
They're teeny, dime-sized.
So Lasker and Parks also produced True Believer in 1989, starring James Woods, Robert Downey Jr., Yuji Okumoto, Margaret Collin, and Kurtwood Smith.
That was a pretty cool movie. You remember? Did you see that
I don't
movie?
think I ever saw it.
That movie, so this is actually a real, I'm not making this one up. I just
Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that.
But James Woods was like this hippie, this ex-hippie, like idealistic lawyer.
Yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr. is like his clerk or something. And, he's like a pot-smoking lawyer, doesn't really give an S. And then he finally gets this case. It's like
A big deal.
well, it's True Believer. It's like
Oh.
he actually got like the hippie case that is,
Oh,
and
I
Robert
see.
Downey Jr.'s got to kind of like convince him to do it. It's really good. It was back when James Woods was great.
Yeah, before he took the long road to Helltown.
Yeah, well, it's the short road.
Yeah. They would also produce Awakenings in 1990, the Robin Williams, Robert De Niro picture, directed by Penny Marshall, that would go on to be nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
That was pretty good.
I really liked Awakenings. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah.
It was the first time I saw Robin Williams in a more serious role, and it showed his range.
Yeah, but De Niro was so good. So good in that movie.
Oh, no, De Niro was
so
fantastic.
heartbreaking. Such a heartbreaking true
Yeah.
story. Such a heartbreaking story. I could not imagine the hell of being trapped in your own body
Yeah. Yeah.
and not being able to move or speak or anything. That seems
Yeah.
like the definition of hell to me.
Yep.
And then to be able to come out of that
Right. And
then know that you're going right back into
yeah,
it.
you have to go back into it. Yeah.
I would.
Ugh,
I don't
awful.
think I would probably kill myself. I mean,
That would be my last words before I shut off completely. Kill me. Kill me. Kill me.
oh
yeah.
God.
They would produce and Lasker would write, along with Phil Alden Robinson, who also directed, the movie Sneakers in 1992.
Very underrated movie. I love that movie. It's just kind of the throwback to that old kind of spy movie. It's got a really great performance by Robert Redford and a
he's so
great
good.
performance by Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
And it's just this fun, underrated
Definitely underrated. I would agree with
movie
that.
that's just like, it's a great Sunday afternoon movie.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just fun.
Grab a couple beers, get yourself some sneakers.
In addition to working with Lasker, Parks would produce Volunteers in 1985, starring Tom Hanks and John Candy.
That was a pretty fun movie.
A
You
movie
remember
we've
that?
talked about a number of times.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but it's a movie we've talked about a few times on the show.
Well, Tom Hanks talks like this. He's very middle-atlantic in this. He's a spoiled guy who's yes. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
and John Candy is insane, and that's where he met his wife.
No. Oh, yeah.
Rita Wilson.
Oh, was that on Volunteers?
Yeah,
Okay.
She was his co-star.
Other films Parks produced or on which he served as executive producer include...
The Men in Black series, The Kite Runner, Golden Globe winning Sweeney Todd, Dinner for Schmucks, Gladiator, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, The Ring, The Terminal, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, Road to Perdition, AI, Artificial Intelligence, Deep Impact, Twister, The Legend of Zorro, and Amistad. So I see a lot of Spielberg and Tom Hanks movies in there.
Yeah, he worked with him quite a bit. He's produced a ton of amazing movies.
And I really wanted to like Dinner for Schmucks.
Yeah, it was not very good, unfortunately.
But there's some great ones. Gladiator was great. Catch Me If You Can was good.
Yeah, Twister was great. Amistad was a good movie. I actually liked AI. I know a lot of people.
Was Twister great?
Yeah, I really like Twister.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's much like you were talking about the fun movie of Sneakers.
Yes.
I feel like Twister is that.
Okay.
Like it's that kind of dumb action-y, like it obviously there's none of this is. I mean, I grew up in Iowa where there's tornadoes all the time.
Oh, sure.
And it was one of those like, oh, okay, they made it fun.
Yes. I think that was the beginning of the end with me and Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt's definitely the weak point in that movie.
But Bill Paxton's rad.
Bill Paxton's
and,
great.
Bill Paxton, Jamie Gertz.
Oh, Jamie
so
Gertz is
good
great in it. Yeah.
Cary Elwes, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Alan Ruck.
Oh, yeah. From who also was with Matthew Broderick in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. I don't think he talks like that.
He sure does, Adam.
Okay. Anyway, I like Twister. For me, it's like on that same level as like Armageddon. Like,
Sure.
It's not something that I'm going to watch it on a Sunday afternoon and eat some popcorn
Yes.
and M&Ms and just be happy.
It's a had to see it at the time movie.
Yeah. Like Highlander.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is your Highlander.
Pretty much, yeah. In 1994, Parks was named president of Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment.
Okay.
And later that year, he and his wife and business partner, Laurie McDonald, were tapped to help create the DreamWorks SKG Motion Picture Studio.
I must have run into him back in the day.
Probably did. As the studio's president, Parks, in partnership with McDonald, oversaw development and production of all DreamWorks film projects, including 3 consecutive Best Picture Oscar winners, American Beauty, Gladiator, and A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah. One of those didn't age that well.
Yes. I was like, wait, which one? Yeah. One of them did not age terribly well there.
For a number of reasons, too, by the way.
Yeah. Sorry. Kevin Spacey. Disappointment. Parks most recently executive produced The Trial of the Chicago 7 for Netflix in 2020.
Very good adaptation of that. I saw that on stage. It was really cool.
Oh, really?
They had it was one of those kind of immersive experiences. So as you walked in the theater, there were protesters.
Oh,
and all
nice,
sorts of
nice.
stuff, and
That's
they
cool.
set it up like a courtroom, and we were like the gallery.
Gallery, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Great actors. Oh man, Bobby Seale just got effed in that. They bound and gagged him in court.
Yeah.
What
I
racist,
don't
bro.
have anything to say
Sorry,
about
man.
it.
That trail, it was just like, that whole situation was just crazy.
It was nuts. There is speculation that Waylon Green also helped write the film and that Tom Mankiewicz did rewrites, but the only credits recognized are for Parks and Lasker.
Okay.
Waylon Green, if you do not know, was nominated in 1970 for an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for The Wild Bunch.
Oh, such a good movie.
He was awarded an Oscar in 1972 for his documentary The Hellstrom Chronicle, for which he also won the Technical Grand Prize at Cannes in 1971 and the Flaherty Documentary Award.
What is the Hellstrom Chronicle? It sounds cool.
It's a documentary. I don't even know what it's about. I don't know.
About a storm in hell?
Yeah. Hellstrom?
Hellstrom.
It's a Strom in hell. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He was nominated for Primetime Emmys in 1986 for Hill Street Blues, in 1993 and 94 for his work on Law and Order, and won an Emmy in 95 for his writing on NYPD Blue.
They showed butts on NYPD Blue. It was the first TV butts, and it was a big old fat butt. Dennis Farina. Not Dennis Farina. Dennis Franz.
Not Dennis Farina. Although Franz isn't much better.
I'd probably rather see Farina's butt than Franz's butt.
Mankiewicz found success from writing a bunch of the older Bond films, including Connery's last sanctioned Bond film, Diamonds Are Forever, and Moore's first Bond film, Live and Let Die.
Living down. Pow.
In 1975, Mankiewicz wrote the screenplay for Mother Jugs and Speed, a dark comedy about ambulance drivers starring Bill Cosby, Raquel Welch, and Harvey Keitel.
We are doing that movie, by the way.
We are. He co-produced the film with Peter Yates, who later asked Mankiewicz to come to the British Virgin Islands to do a major rewrite on Yates' next film, The Deep, with Robert Shaw and Jacqueline Bisset.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that Robert Shaw was in The Deep.
Yeah.
Because he was also in Jaws, so that's,
Yeah.
2 water movies.
Yeah. I mean, 2 movies from Peter Benchley.
Yeah. He's Benchley's boy.
The Deep was a huge box office success and cemented Mankiewicz's reputation as a script doctor, so it's very, very possible that he did rewrites on this movie without any credit.
Probably.
The whole Wailing Green thing, I don't know. I tried to find more info and I couldn't find anything. It was just mentioned once or twice, but it's possible.
Sure.
Possible.
Hey, man, we got to put the possibilities in there.
Yeah. The Genius began its transformation into WarGames when Parks and Lasker met Peter Schwartz from the Stanford Research Institute.
There was a new subculture of extremely bright kids developing into what would become known as hackers.
Said Schwartz. Schwartz made the connection between youth, computers, gaming, and the military. Parks and Lasker also met with computer security expert Willis Ware of Rand Corporation, who assured them that even a secure military computer might have remote access, enabling remote work on weekends, encouraging the screenwriters to continue with the project.
Nice.
Which is ridiculous to think that, yeah, we can just just log in this military computer from home. It's cool.
The naivete
I know,
of
I
the
know.
military. I mean, it's just like, who would do it?
Yeah,
Who's gonna, why would they
right,
do it? Who's
yeah.
going to get in there?
Martin Brest was hired to direct WarGames. Brest's final NYU student film in 1972, Hot Dogs for Gauguin, starred Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman.
Nice.
His major studio debut was Going in Style in 1979, which starred George Burns, Art Carney, and Lee Strasberg.
Great movie.
I've never seen it. I need to see that. I love George Burns.
Art Carney's great. It's about 3 old dudes robbing a bank.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they wear the Groucho glasses as the
Oh, yeah.
disguises.
I think we talked about it a little bit during our Beverly Hills Cop episode, which Martin Brest directed.
Right.
So they moved on to casting. Matthew Broderick, of course, was cast as David Lightman, the lead character.
David Lightman.
Broderick's first major acting role came in a production of playwright Horton Foote's On Valentine's Day, playing opposite his father, who was a friend of Foote's.
Hey, can you kiss my kid? Hey, how you doing? It's Rod Broderick. Just wondering if you could cast my kid, in this play with me. I'm doing it in between adult films.
Okay. This was followed by a supporting role as Harvey Firestein's gay adopted son David in the off-Broadway production of Firestein's Torch Song trilogy.
David, come over here, David.
It's literally straight from Independence
I
Day.
know. David, what are you doing, David?
Then, a good review by the New York Times theater critic Mel Gussow brought him to the attention of Broadway.
Didn't he also star in the Torch Song trilogy movie
Later.
with
It was,
Harvey
it
Firestein?
was much later.
But he played
Yeah.
he redid his part.
Yes. Yeah. Broderick commented on the effects of that review.
Before I knew it, I was this guy in a hot play, and suddenly all these doors opened. It was only because Mel Gussow happened to come right before it closed and happened to like it. It's just amazing. All these things have to line up that are out of your control.
It was so close. Almost there.
It's perfect.
Yep. He followed that with the role of Eugene Morris Jerome in the Neil Simon Eugene trilogy, including the plays Brighton Beach Memoirs and Biloxi Blues.
Nice, I got the blues in Biloxi.
He won the Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Play for his role in Brighton Beach Memoirs.
These memoirs of Brighton Beach. These are my memoirs.
His first film role as Michael McPhee in 1983's Max Dugan Returns was also written by Neil Simon, starring Marsha Mason, Jason Robards in the titular role, and Donald Sutherland.
Max Dugan returns, and I'm not happy about it.
David Lightman in WarGames was modeled on David Scott Lewis, a hacking enthusiast writers Parks and Lasker actually met.
Oh man, hacking was so easy back then.
Yeah, how they showed it was ridiculous. You just put your phone on and then it just goes.
Yeah.
And it does the thing, yeah. David Scott Lewis isn't legally allowed to discuss whether he hacked military computers or not. Meaning, yes, he did, and they told him he couldn't talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
WarGames made Broderick a household name.
Oh yeah, he was so good in it too.
Yeah, he was great.
He was a regular kid. I mean, that's the thing about Matthew Broderick that propelled him into stardom is he, even though he was a
Broadway actor, and he was, when he was on stage, he was the guy.
he really knew how to play a kid.
Yeah.
And this kid was just a kid. He wasn't, a great looking guy. He did this part so well.
Yeah.
And it was such an interesting part because, here's this slacker who doesn't care about anything, who basically has to save the world.
Right. It's great when he realizes, he sees the news and he's like, oh my God. And like him freaking out was amazing.
So he's such a great actor. He really is.
Yeah.
And he's so underrated because he makes it look effortless.
He's the kind of guy that you watch and you go, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Well, he made Ferris Bueller's Day Off believable.
Oh, he controlled that movie.
Anybody else in that role, it would have gone off the rails, but he grounded it in this reality that this glib kid that you would probably hate if you really went to school with him.
Yeah.
Into this, really likable.
But yeah, you believe that people would worship him and just follow him.
Because he got a lot of charm.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off in 1986 made him an even bigger star. Broderick would go on to have a huge career in film, TV, and stage, appearing in more than a dozen Broadway plays since the late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stayed away from Broadway acting for quite a while, and then finally went back to it when he was kind of like, hey, I'm older, I can play some other parts now. And
Well, cha-ching, cha-ching. He wanted to make some money.
yeah. I mean, I don't think he's making as much money doing Broadway as he would be doing.
No,
films
but he
and
doesn't
stuff.
need to, right? Because he made all the money doing film and TV.
Yeah, he's got his royalties coming in. He can pick and choose. He will be seen in the upcoming movie No Hard Feelings, starring Jennifer Lawrence and written and directed by Gene Stupnitsky from The Office and Jury Duty.
That film looks effing hilarious. If they can pull it off. God, it's
Yeah.
been so long since I've seen Jennifer Lawrence in something.
Yeah.
It seems...
I agree. It seems like I was like, what happened to her? And
It
it's
was
like-
that end of the world movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
the Don't Look Up.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. I mean, she's good in the stuff she does.
But this, I'm so glad to see her doing comedy again because she is so funny.
She's great. Yeah.
She looks so... This film looks great. It looks like a really funny, raunchy comedy. It's something we've been missing for a long time.
I want to see Matthew Broderick trying to pimp out his son. It looks so good.
And she's just so goofy and awkward.
So Matthew Broderick will also be seen in the upcoming limited series Painkiller on Netflix about the birth of the opioid crisis with an emphasis on Purdue Pharma, the manufacturer of OxyContin, with Broderick playing Richard Sackler of the Sackler family.
True life villain.
Yeah.
That man and his family are responsible for the opioid crisis.
Yes.
And they are responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths. And I'm excited to see him play that part.
Oh my God, I am so excited to see him just play that awful kind of evil.
He does that well. He
does.
can look. The guy is an amazing actor. He can do anything.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to see him playing against type, which are these types of characters, that aren't that he has to mute his natural charm.
Right.
To play somebody, and as he's gotten older, he's also grown into playing a lot of different kind of roles, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, like where he played the principal in that weird
Election.
The post-apocalyptic movie or series on Netflix.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he played the villain / principal.
Yeah.
Where he was still charming, but he was so evil.
Yes, he's just great.
He's everything he shows up in. I'm super excited to see him.
Exactly. He's great.
Dabney Coleman was cast as Dr. John McKittrick.
Dr. John McKittrick.
Dabney Coleman got his start on the 1966 sitcom That Girl, sans his iconic horn-rimmed glasses and his mustache, which he grew in 1973.
Do 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 that girl. I remember her throwing. It was Marlo Thomas. Speaking of Danny Thomas on the last show,
Right.
It's good.
Speaking of Danny Thomas on the last show,
because we talked about make room for Daddy.
No, that's right.
But that was his daughter.
I just want to see Dabney Coleman without the mustache.
Oh, he was great. He basically played the same type of
Right.
sketchy, wiggly, wiry guy. That's not quite somebody you could trust.
He appeared as the U.S. Olympic skiing team coach in 1969's Downhill Racer, the directorial debut of Michael Ritchie, and a high-ranking fire chief in The Towering Inferno in 1974.
Oh, he was great.
He's
that was
so
great.
good in that, yeah. He landed the main antagonist part of Franklin Hart Jr., a sexist boss, on whom 3 female office employees get their revenge in the 1980 film 9 to 5.
Yes, and he talked like this. Hey, What you ladies doing? You coming after me, ladies? I'm gonna get you.
So good in this
Oh,
movie.
God, I love that movie so much. I remember seeing it as a kid, and I didn't really know what pot was, but I thought, pot looks kind of fun. For those three ladies smoked that joint.
And the rest is history.
I never smoked pot because of that movie.
Wow.
I thought it seemed very
It
dangerous.
seems like it's too much fun. I can't have that kind of fun.
No, I need discipline.
It was this film that established Coleman in the character type with which he is most identified and has frequently played since, a comic relief villain.
Or the dick.
Yeah, commonly referred to as the dick. Coleman followed 9 to 5 with the role of the arrogant, sexist soap opera director in Tootsie in 1982.
Oh, so good.
Who's so good, he tries to sleep with him. It's so funny. He appeared in the feature film On Golden Pond in 1981, playing the sympathetic fiancé of Jane Fonda.
Oh, you old poop. Are you listening to the loons, Norman? The song of the loons, Norman, you old poop.
Coleman followed up WarGames with 2 films in 1984, The Muppets Take Manhattan, playing a con artist posing as a theater manager.
Yeah, with a mustache.
Yes. Cloak and Dagger, starring Henry Thomas, playing dual roles.
That is such a weird movie, but I loved it so much as a kid.
I adore Cloak and Dagger so much.
I think almost everybody I know of that era who saw that movie loves that movie.
It was also one of those that was on all the
Yeah.
time. It was on pay TV constantly.
But such a weird, neat little thing. Like, so Henry Thomas is this like latchkey kid.
Yeah.
And he's got this little toy, this little doll
Yeah,
that he
a
loves.
little figure,
Little, like Army Man figure. But he comes to life and he's Dabney Coleman and he helps him.
And he helps him.
Yeah. And he and that
he actually-
weird little girl.
Oh my God, the bug eyes.
Yeah.
Hey, they talk like that.
Anyway.
But the fictional hero guy looks just like his dad, who happens to be in the Air Force
Right.
and is not around a lot.
it's so good. And it's so good.
It's a super deep movie, and I love that movie, and eventually we will cover it.
We have to. And also, Henry Thomas, man, what a great little
Such a
actor.
great-
what
so
a
good.
great, still a great actor, but
Yeah.
so good in this. Henry Thomas is one of the real kids. Like,
Yeah.
when you saw him, it was like watching one of your friends. He
Yeah,
was like a real
exactly.
kid. There was no Hollywood BS with him, whether it was E.T. or this or whatever he played. He just came across so real.
Yeah, always. It was great. We're definitely covering Cloak and Dagger at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Gives me an excuse to buy the new Blu-ray that came out a couple months ago.
Nice.
Yeah, it's Cloak and Dagger.
Coleman has had a long career, most recently appearing in an episode of Yellowstone at the age of 89. He's now 91 and still working as much as he can. He's not stopping.
Good. I love him. He is such a great actor.
Such a great actor.
And plays menace, especially as he got older. He has just got that gravitas that, as a younger man, he didn't really have. He was the goof. He was the goofy guy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
even, I think he was in Modern Problems with Chevy Chase,
Yeah.
playing the same role. Always playing the kind of, the annoying guy. But as he got older, he kind of just grew into this.
Okay.
He was so good in Boardwalk Empire.
Okay.
It might be my favorite thing he's ever done.
Wow,
Because it
okay.
was such a layered and just menacing part.
I watched the first season of Boardwalk Empire and I didn't finish it. So
Great show.
I will need to watch that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite HBO shows.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. John Wood was cast as Stephen Falcon and the voice of WOPR, the Doomsday Machine. Wood started on stage, known for his performances in Shakespeare and his lasting association with Tom Stoppard, the
Wait, so he does the
playwright.
Shall we play a game?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he did the lines and they
Voice
computerized
modulated
them. But no, there was actually no modulation at all. He's just that good.
well, I sound exactly like it, so I get it. I get it.
Wow. Okay. He was nominated for a Tony in 1968 for Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead,
Love that play.
and in 1975 for Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, he originated one of the parts in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead because it was Tom Stoppard, and Tom Stoppard is amazing.
Yeah.
In
There's
19
a theater named after Tom Stoppard in Los Angeles.
That's true. In 1976, he received a Tony Award for Best Actor in a Play for his performance in Stoppard's Travesties.
Do you think he and Matthew Broderick just sat around talking theater all day?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. This is why Falcon just kept smiling at him at the end.
Hey, did you ever work with John McKee's?
Yes, I did work with John McKeegan. He was a great director. I was on a production. It was off-Broadway production of Hair. We did it as if we were all chipmunks.
Oh, that sounds really great. I did the Biloxi trilogy.
Okay. The character...
Right and Breach trilogy, sorry.
The Eugene trilogy.
The Eugene trilogy.
Yeah. The character of Falcon was inspired by and named after Stephen Hawking, with the appearance of John Lennon, whom the part was written for.
Oh, he would have been awesome.
That would have been so bizarre. Hawking was approached to be in the movie, but didn't want Hollywood to exploit his disability, so he said no.
Oh, interesting.
Lennon was interested in the role, but was murdered in New York while the script was in development. Yeah. It would have been interesting to see John Lennon. I didn't realize that he had any interest in going into acting.
He had done a little bit.
I mean,
couple of
beyond
things.
the Beatles
Help
movies and
and,
stuff.
yeah, the Yellow Submarine stuff. But
But I didn't know that he was, because that would have been an amazing third act for him, or second act for
it
him.
would have been, but honestly, it would have been distracting to see
probably.
John Lennon as Falcon, I think.
Yeah.
Because it would have been, there's John Lennon, you know, and I think this guy, we didn't really know who he was, and he just looked the part. He was so good.
Yeah.
As
He was not really known to American audiences.
Right.
Yeah. After WarGames, he appeared in
The Purple Rose of Cairo, Orlando, Shadowlands, The Madness of King George, Richard III, Sabrina, and Chocolat.
along with others, a lot of very high-end hoity-toity movies.
I love The Madness of King George.
I mean, all these are great. Orlando's a good movie. Sabrina's a good movie.
You know, he peed blue.
Great. That's weird.
Well, that's how King George went crazy. 'Cause
No.
he was like lead
'Cause
poisoned or something.
He was just staring at his blue pee, and he
No,
was like,
but
this is crazy.
the blue pee was was a side effect of his lead poisoning.
Why is it blue? Why is it blue?
Because he was sad, Adam.
Yeah.
He had sad urine.
Oh. In 2007, Wood was appointed a commander of the Order of the British Empire in the Queen's New Year Honors List. Another BCE. So many of them. Apparently, they just hand them out like candy.
Yeah. You want a BCE? Yeah, I guess.
Wood died of natural causes in August 2011 in Gloucestershire at the age of 81.
It's weird to think of him as 81. He was just like a very solid, kind of handsome
Yeah.
guy. And he played that part so well because
So good.
there's so many layers to Falcon.
Yeah.
Because he's a man who's completely detached himself from society and reality. His grief was so much that it destroyed him to the point where he doesn't care if the world is destroyed or not.
He wants it to be destroyed. Like, he specifically was like, yeah, I live 3 miles away from a primary target.
Exactly.
Because
on
I want to
purpose.
die first.
And it's just that,
Seeing that young guy.
you know, but it was Matthew Broderick's zeal that kind of brought him back, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
It was really interesting. And that whole sequence with them going to visit him and the way he reacted and him showing him the dinosaurs and just the resistance in his face. And the silent acting and the fact that, you know, they take off and you can see when they cut to him, the wheels turning.
Right. Maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong.
And then when the helicopter comes, it's all justified. It makes sense. His arc is so good and just proves what a great actor he is. As we were talking before, though, you know, at the end where the world is literally about to end. WOPR is just getting one code piece after the we're like two code chunks away from the whole world being destroyed.
8 numbers.
What do you think? Oh, you could do it yourself. I could help you right now, but I'm not going to.
Oh,
If you don't discover it yourself, it's not worth it.
You got this, David. You've got this.
Come on, David. What were we talking
Well,
about?
I mean, honestly, for him, it's a win-win. Because if the world ends, okay. And if it doesn't, he's got a new friend.
Right, but if it does, he's not 3 miles anymore. He's down in the WOPR bunker.
yeah.
He's going to live, and he's going to live with all them.
He was thinking about how much he was going to eat Barry Corbin after they got buried alive.
Don't eat me up, because I'm a big goo.
He was so good, though. Yeah, you're right. His arc is very good. He did a lot with the little bit that he was given.
Everybody who was cast in this movie was perfectly cast.
Yeah, agreed. Ali Sheedy was cast as Jennifer Mack.
Oh, God. Loved her so much. Still do.
I had the hugest crush on her from this movie and Breakfast Club.
Well, because she was the regular girl.
Yeah.
She's beautiful, gorgeous woman and young lady, but like a natural kind of beauty that you would have sitting next to you in English class.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Hey,
she
right.
had this kind of down to earth reality to her that made her just like Broderick. They really knew how to play teenagers.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
really knew how to play them real. And her part could have been, you know, because it's like she's not really the popular girl or this girl or that girl.
Yeah.
Their friendship is really organic. It comes together in a way that's really fun.
Yeah.
And she is a very fun, adventurous person. The fact that she comes to Seattle and
Right.
like, surprise!
She just meets him, or in Salem. She
What are you
meets him in
doing here?
Salem, yeah.
You shouldn't be here.
But I wanted to see what happened. Yeah.
And it's so great. And they had a great chemistry together. And it's a really fun developing of their relationship over the time. And how their little smooches always seem to get interrupted.
Them getting together, like quote unquote together in the movie, is so organic and
Yeah.
so natural and makes sense. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, and it wasn't. You could tell it wasn't either of them wanting to get with the other person.
Sure.
It was
Not at
just
the
like-
beginning, yeah.
No, it was just like you're fun. Okay, like we have a good time. Let's hang out, and it was good. Yeah.
It was a very, very realistic portrayal of a high school friendship into a romance.
Exactly. At the age of 6, Sheedy decided she wanted to be a ballet dancer until the acting bug took over.
Ooh.
Sheedy started acting in local stage productions as a teenager. She moved to LA at 18 and received a BFA from USC around her busy acting career.
Nice.
Yeah, she was one of those people that moved out to LA and immediately started working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she appeared in several television films in 1981, including Splendor in the Grass, a remake of the 1961 film starring Natalie Wood.
Yeah. I don't think I ever saw that.
No, I didn't see it either. She had a 3-episode arc on the television series Hill Street Blues.
Yeah, she did.
She made her feature film debut in Bad Boys in 1983, starring Sean Penn playing Penn's humiliated girlfriend.
Well, humiliated is a very nice way of saying that she was, I think, brutally raped in that movie.
Yeah, he treated her like crap.
Well, she. Have you seen Bad Boys?
I don't think so.
Okay, Bad Boys is, I think, one of Sean Penn's first movies too.
Yeah.
And it's basically he goes to like juvie or whatever, and he's got this rivalry against this other kid. But I think that kid gets out and rapes Ali Sheedy, and there's this whole. It's a brutal. It's a great movie.
Sounds terrible.
It's brutal. It is a brutal movie, but it's really good. And you know, she's great. And what's his name?
Sean Penn.
And Sean Penn is. Sean Penn is just remarkable. And as a kid, he was remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, 83 was around the time, because I think that was Fast Times was around 83.
And it's just like polar opposite of
Yeah.
Fast Times.
WarGames catapulted Sheedy into stardom, with the media including her in the Brat Pack, who counted among their members Emilio Estevez, Anthony Michael Hall, Rob Lowe, Andrew McCarthy, Demi Moore, Judd Nelson, and Molly Ringwald.
She never liked being part of that.
No. Brat Pack movies included The Breakfast Club and St. Elmo's Fire in 1985.
Yep.
Things got very rough for Sheedy during this time, eventually being admitted to a rehab clinic in 1985.
Oh, no.
In the 90s, she was treated for a sleeping pill addiction.
Ugh.
She had some bad times.
Well, sleeping pills. That seems like something that she probably got into for work, and then, you know.
She made a strong comeback in 1998 as a drug-addicted photographer in High Art, co-starring Rhoda Mitchell.
Oh, what a great movie. Have you seen that?
No, I've never seen it. I didn't even realize I need to watch it. She won an Independent Spirit Award, the Los Angeles Film Critics Association Award for Best Actress, and the National Society of Film Critics Award for Best Actress for the performance in High Art.
Yeah, everybody thought she should have got the Oscar nomination. And
Yeah.
She was grabbed.
She most recently can be seen in Single Drunk Female, the TV series where she plays the mother of a 28-year-old alcoholic who is forced to move back home.
I've seen a couple of. I saw a couple episodes of that, and it wasn't bad. It was pretty good.
I'm curious. There's been a lot of billboards around LA of the show, so I'm curious to check it out.
I'm really surprised that because I think that kind of started around the pandemic and then was gone for a few years.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's still. Oh.
and it's back. I didn't.
Wow.
I thought it was kind
Yeah,
of
there's
gone.
definitely a second season. Yeah.
good.
Weird. Yeah. Barry Corbin was cast as General Jack Behringer.
Barry Corbin, the General Jack Behringer.
Corbin is named after Peter Pan author J.M. Barrie. Technically Barrie is his middle name.
That's my middle name. My first name is Jim Bob.
And I think it's Alan or something.
Alan.
He did a couple of guest spots on TV specials before being cast as Sheriff Fenton Washburn on Dallas in 1979.
Dallas.
He would appear in 9 episodes, but it would lead to a ton of parts in movies and TV, mostly as law enforcement or versions thereof.
Also wearing a uniform as an army man.
Yeah. And I literally had no idea what you just said.
I was playing an army man.
Yeah, a lot of army men, yeah. In 1980, he appeared in 3 films, playing John Travolta's Uncle Bob Davis in Urban Cowboy.
Hey, Uncle Bob Davis. Ooh.
You're an urban cowboy.
That's right, I was a cowboy.
He co-starred with Clint Eastwood in Any Which Way You Can.
Right turn, Clyde.
He did not play Clyde.
No.
I'm gonna put you.
And he also appeared as the warden in the movie Stir Crazy.
Ah, such a great movie.
Great movie. Again, another one we're going to cover.
You always gonna play the rodeo.
In 1981, he appeared in 4 TV movies. In 1983, along with his appearance in WarGames, he co-starred in the TV miniseries The Thornbirds, as well as starring in a short-lived TV show, Boone, which was canceled after 10 episodes.
Thornbirds was a juggernaut. Richard Chamberlain was like the king of the TV movies. He did Shogun, The Thornbirds. I think The Thornbirds, he played the priest who was having an affair.
Had an affair, yeah.
The disgraced priest.
Yeah. It's just showing that Barry Corbin was working non-stop.
You're a priest. You shouldn't be kissing that lady. I'm gonna tell on you.
In WarGames, Corbin ad-libbed most of his lines. General Behringer was based on General James F. Hardinger of the U.S. Air Force, the then Commander-in-Chief of NORAD, whom Parks and Lasker met while visiting the base, and who, like Behringer, favored keeping humans in the decision loop.
His character was great because he wasn't just a stereotypical, general.
Yeah.
He was very concerned about murdering the world
Yes.
and taking the human factor out of it. Even with a 23% failure rate, he still thought it was the best way to go because you have to have that human element just in case. I mean, we talked about during the Day After show about all of these near misses, and if it wasn't for people who had a clear head and took a beat and a breath, we'd all be dead.
Yeah, mostly Russians who were like, whoa, niet.
And
Not going to do that.
The thing that I loved about his character was at the end when he was given the chance to either blow up the world or wait.
Right, right.
And he waited.
He showed that he trusted the people to tell him that the computer was wrong.
Exactly. And, there's Dabney Coleman freaking out. Press the button. And then
Dabney Coleman just wanted to murder the world.
But the look on his face,
Yeah.
after all this stuff goes down, it's amazing acting. And it's so subtle and such a quick shot. But there's a shot of Dabney Coleman and the look of shock on his face that it wasn't real and that he almost did it.
Right.
Is
brilliant, yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant. And I love the way that all these guys turn around. And even Dabney Coleman, at the end is like, thank God we did, that we didn't do this. I love when he ruffles Matthew Broderick's hair and then Matthew Broderick takes one of his hands and ruffles his hair and then they give a hug. That was just such a cool...
It was so believable.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just like, you don't need guys that are just jerks to be jerks and are jerks throughout. Like Martin Landau in Meteor, where, he comes around and is like, I am sorry, I was wrong.
Right.
That's how it goes. I just hate these movies where the guy is just a jerk until the very end, even when he's proven wrong, just because they need a jerk.
Right. And then it's interesting because then you go back and you think, oh, well, he was being a jerk because he was under so much pressure.
And he also believed in...
He really thought that everyone was going to die, and he needed to do this.
Yeah, he was a true believer of his technology.
Of the technology. But Barry Corbin was proven right.
Yeah, was proven right again.
But the best moment for Barry Corbin was they all are excited. They win, and they all excited. And then they find out the computer is trying to hack the codes, and he's like, well... I guess we're going to do this.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I guess we're going to have to nuke everybody.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, wait a minute. You're going to destroy the world because of a mistake on our end? And I guess.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
it seems pretty, I don't know.
Messed up.
Counterintuitive. I don't know.
Behringer's array of medals indicate that he would be around 60 at the time of the movie. Barry Corbin was 43.
Oh.
Which, by the way, he was 43. I thought he was older than that in this movie.
Yeah, well, everybody looked older back then.
Yeah. Corbin has had a long career. He has not stopped working nonstop since the early 80s.
Oh, and still amazing. No Country for Old Men. He was awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, as retired astronaut in Northern Exposure from 1990 to 1995, he earned 2 consecutive Primetime Emmy Award nominations.
As he should have. The character work on that show was ridiculous. There was just it's one of those quirky whatever shows, but it also had very well-rounded characters that weren't one-dimensional. Like he played an extra astronaut who,
Yeah.
was using his fame to kind of, make
Yeah.
the town bigger, get people in there. But yeah, he was just so good. Always good. Always good. And had one
Always.
of those faces that, lights up a room. He just seemed like a good dude.
He had recurring roles in One Tree Hill from 2003 to 2009.
Never saw it.
I did because I worked on that show. He was the only actor I didn't get to meet. And I got to be honest, I was so disappointed.
Well, yeah, because he's the best actor on the show.
Yeah. The Closer from 2007 to 2012. The Ranch from 2016 to 2020. And most recently can be seen in 6 episodes of Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone.
You're the king of Tulsa. Tulsa King.
Yeah, put me in Tulsa. The way you can get no cannolis. Where am I gonna get some good pasta, some gravies?
I also, he has the best but he's got the best guest stars on Modern Family. Like playing Cam's mother, Cam's dad. He's so good.
I'm gonna get. It's like, well, Cam's the woman in the relationship.
It's so good. He will also be seen in Martin Scorsese's upcoming Killers of the Flower Moon at the ripe age of 82.
Good. Just keep working, buddy. You're so good.
There is literally no stopping Barry Corbin. He is going
Nobody's
to
gonna stop me.
He's going to act until he drops.
I hope so. I mean, I hope he doesn't drop.
No, but he's going to act. He's got so many good years.
Give us another 10 or 15.
Yeah.
Let's get some meteor ages, right? Is that the one that everybody was like 100 when they died?
Yeah,
Was it
yeah,
Meteor?
yeah. Juanin Clay was cast as Patricia Healy. She was one of the NORAD assistants.
Oh, was she the one that ate the gum?
Yes, the weird scene where she takes Dabney Coleman's gum and then eats it.
Oh, it's so gross.
Or she starts chewing it. It's super weird.
Yeah, she was in tons of stuff. She's so
was.
recognizable. But yeah, she was. It was an interesting part. She was kind of like Dabney Coleman's second.
Yeah. It was not a very fleshed out part.
It was funny. I mean, she was kind of comic relief
Yeah.
and was just kind of there.
She was actually a kindergarten teacher in Connecticut before she became an actor.
I can see that.
She originated the role of Raven Alexander on the daytime soap opera The Edge of Night from 1976 to 77.
The Edge of Night.
And she chose to leave to pursue other projects. She was a contender for the role of Wilma Deering in the 1979 to 81 television series Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, but lost the role to Erin Gray, who returned to reprise her role in from the 1979 theatrical release.
Hey guys,
Hey!
my ears were burning. Heard you talking about Jew Juanin Clay. We called her Juanin.
Juanin?
Well, in the 20th century, we pronounce all J's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, hey.
So Juanin Clay, she was so nice coming in. You know, if anybody else could play the part, would have been her.
She would have been great.
Yeah, but she just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Okay, gotta get back. Oh boy. Oh boy. Buck and Tweaky getting into some shenanigans. I gotta get out of here. Love you guys.
You almost call Buck Chuck.
Yeah, well,
Chuck Rogers on the 25th century.
Chuck was Buck's brother.
Oh.
He didn't make it to the 25th
Well,
century.
they made a documentary about Buck and Chuck.
Yeah.
No, don't watch it.
It's
Whatever
not
you
doesn't
do,
go the
don't
way
watch
you
it.
think it will.
No. Clay later guest starred in the Buck Rogers episode Vegas in Space, playing Marla Landers, who briefly partnered with Buck.
Yeah, she sure did. Sorry, had to come back.
Just one more.
Yep, just had to clarify
Yeah.
for you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
She's great. Thanks, Colonel Wilma.
Back to the future.
Woo. Clay would make a number of guest TV appearances throughout the 80s and 90s until her untimely death from a lengthy illness in 1995 at the age of 45.
Oh, too young.
Disappointing. So disappointing.
She was a
That's,
really great actor.
She was. Michael Ensign was cast as Behringer's assistant. Again, not in this movie a ton, but he's one of those faces that you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Ensign made his first credited appearance in 1978's Midnight Express, directed by Alan Parker and written by Oliver Stone.
Oh, God, that's a brutal movie. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
About a tourist who's smuggling heroin into Morocco, I believe.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to that prison, baby.
No.
He lost a testicle.
Oof. Ouch.
Beaten so bad, he lost a testicle.
Oof. Before WarGames, he made
Spoiler alert.
notable appearances in 1978's Superman as a newscaster and in 1982 with Pink Floyd The Wall as a hotel manager. He also played the hotel manager of the Cedric Hotel in 1984's Ghostbusters.
That's it. I won't pay it.
Yeah, that's what people will recognize him from. If you want to picture Michael Ensign, think of the hotel manager from Ghostbusters.
That's outrageous. I didn't agree to that. I won't pay it.
Well, we can just put it right back. We'll just put it back.
Okay, fine.
Ensign very quickly became that guy, a character actor who people would recognize but never knew his name. He's appeared in hundreds of TV shows and films.
Oh, yeah.
He's also done voiceover work for a number of video games, playing Dr. Nefarious Tropy in the Crash Bandicoot series,
Dr. Nefarious Troop.
Bioshock 2, L.A. Noire, and Infamous 2.
Yeah.
Video games that are very fun.
All of those games are great.
Yeah. Ensign's still around at 79, but he hasn't appeared in a TV or film since 2018.
Oh.
Yeah. William Bogert was cast as Mr. Lightman, David's dad.
He was so great.
Bogert is best known for his roles as the neighbor Brandon Brindle on the TV series Small Wonder from 1985 to 89, and as Kent Wallace, the host of Chappelle's Show's Frontline spoofs from 2003 to 2004.
Yeah. Small Wonder.
Small Wonder is such a bizarre show.
It's about a guy who makes a little girl robot. And
Yeah, there's nothing weird about
they
that.
adopt her as a child. And she's got a brother who doesn't really like having a robot for a sister. And I think her name was Becky or something, but it was like an acronym.
Yeah. It was something weird.
Ha ha ha, and she talk like this.
It was some weird show. I remember really liking the show.
Yeah, everybody
I
did.
Didn't recall it being on for 4 years.
Yeah, no, and it was like a syndicated show too, I think.
Yeah, it was on all the time.
Oh, so weird. It was like Punky Brewster. It was just one of those kind of weird shows that everybody watched.
Yeah. His first credited role was as the TV anchorman in 1975's Dog Day Afternoon.
Nice.
So great movie. Bogert's television guest appearances included
Gilmore Girls, Hope and Faith, Chappelle's Show, Law and Order, Ed, Profiler, Spin City, Third Rock from the Sun, Melrose Place, Empty Nest, Mr. Belvedere, Growing Pains, Amen, The Wonder Years, Webster, Matlock, Trapper John MD, The Colbys, Benson, Knots Landing, Heart to Heart, The Greatest American Hero, Square Pegs, The Fall Guy, Hill Street Blues, Fantasy Island, The Incredible Hulk, MASH, Alice, The Facts of Life, The Jeffersons, Quincy M.E., One Day at a Time, Barney Miller, Lou Grant, It Is Enough, Barata, Macmillan and Wife, Starsky and Hutch, Police One, Taxi, Columbo, Mary Tyler Moore Show, and The Doctors.
Yeah, he was in everything. Literally everything. I really liked the parents of David Lightman in this movie could have literally been taken from like Better Off Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were so weird.
But they were just real, too.
I know, but it was like if the movie was different, it could have gone this weird kind of different like comedy direction because the parents were just so odd.
But it captured that beautiful truism of the 80s was the two-parent working home.
Right.
Where you got the latchkey kid who's kind of left to his own devices, and to his own devices ends up, well, almost destroying the world. But, they were just concentrating on his grades and stuff, but she's busy being a real estate broker, and he's busy doing his thing.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved every minute they were in, but it was just that like, yeah, people are weird.
Yeah. But it was so true to the time, which was
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah. Bogert was married to Erin Oesker, a puppeteer best known for her work with the Muppets until her untimely death in 1993 at the age of 44.
Good Lord, what's with these women dying in their 40s?
I don't know. Bogert died in New York on January 12th, 2020 at the age of 83.
Aw. I mean, that's like almost, that's like 30 years without his wife.
Yeah. Sad. John Spencer was cast as Captain Jerry Lawson.
Turn the key, sir.
Despite appearing in a number of films, Spencer is best known for his TV work. He began his career on The Patty Duke Show.
Oh, yeah.
Spencer played Tommy Mulaney on L.A. Law from 1990 to 1994.
Oh, he was great.
In 1999, Spencer was cast as Leo McGarry on The West Wing.
I'm on the West Wing. What do you say, Mr. President? Let's do some stuff.
Spencer's character was White House Chief of Staff to the fictional U.S. President Josiah Bartlett.
President Bartlett, come on. We need to do stuff. People are protesting.
Like Spencer, McGarry was a recovering alcoholic and compulsive worker. Spencer quit drinking in 1989 after 20 years of hard abuse.
Wow.
Yeah. Spencer's role in the show earned him the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series in 2002.
He was great.
Unfortunately, Spencer died of a heart attack in a Los Angeles hospital on December 16th, 2005, 4 days before his 59th birthday.
Oh, those 20 years caught up to him.
Yeah. I mean, you can only abuse yourself so much, and your body will break down.
Maybe. I don't know. But there's also these guys that, drink. I think the problem is stopping. Because
Yes.
it seems like the guys that drink and smoke live to like 80 or 85.
I know a couple of guys that were in their late 30s, early 40s that did a lot of hard drugs for a long time and then stopped, and they had been sober for like 10 years, and eventually they had heart problems and they died.
Well, they say, most smokers don't get lung cancer unless they stop smoking.
Right.
That's not to say don't quit.
You shouldn't start.
Yeah, don't start. Trust me.
Michael Madsen was cast as Lieutenant Steve Phelps.
Turn the key, sir. Turn the key.
That is not protocol.
I love how they were talking about weed.
Yeah.
And then he's like,
It was great.
Yeah, and oh my God, Michael Madsen was just a good-looking young man. So
He was.
tall and skinny with those beautiful blue eyes.
He was, and earlier I was saying that he's not very smart, but he kind of played that like army like not blockhead, but like just that guy that takes orders. Like
Right.
he definitely was that guy.
He was the guy who, in terms of the army, did the right thing.
Right.
It was John Spencer who was that pot-smoking commie who didn't turn his key.
He didn't want to murder the world. One of Madsen's first roles was in the 1983 TV movie Special Bulletin about a terrorist group bringing a homemade atomic bomb aboard a tugboat in the harbor of Charleston, South Carolina,
Tugboat.
in order to blackmail the U.S. government into disabling its nuclear weapons, and the incident is caught live on television. The movie simulates a series of live news broadcasts on the fictional RBS network.
Come back here at RBS. This tugboat is filled with nukes.
At some point in one of our early episodes, I read about this movie and I ended up watching it.
Really?
It's on YouTube. You can totally watch it. But it was the first, as far as I can tell, it was the first kind of, after obviously like War of the Worlds and the radio broadcast, it was one of the first things that kind of was released as being like, hey, this is happening. Madsen, siblings with actor Virginia Madsen, would go on to appear and star in dozens of features.
Oh my God. He's been in everything. Everything.
Yes. He is known for his collaborations with Quentin Tarantino. He's appeared in the films.
Reservoir Dogs.
So Madsen was also in
Kill Bill Volume 1. Kill Bill Volume 2. The Hateful Eight. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It's really funny because as he went, his parts seemed to get smaller and smaller in Tarantino's movies. But
Well, but they were all important parts.
yeah.
There was always room for Michael Madsen.
Oh, he's so good. He's such a great actor. Since the late 90s, Madsen has averaged appearing in a half dozen movies every year.
Oh yeah, if at least, because he's also one of those guys that, does the I'll take $500,000 for 2 days work.
Yeah.
So he shows up in all of
I
these
don't
straight to
even
videos.
think it's 500,000. I think he takes less than that.
Whatever it is.
But he works for like 2 days
Yeah.
and then takes his check and goes home.
Constantly working.
He most recently can be seen in Waking Karma, where he plays a cult leader torturing his daughter into becoming the new leader. I watched the trailer of it. It actually looks kind of interesting.
Interesting.
And The Wraith Within, playing a sheriff with a deadly secret. And that does not include the 3 other movies that I found out after I finished the script that are coming out in the next 6 months.
Not to mention that video game, that weird video game, that heist game that has like
Oh, yeah, that's
he
right.
and Danny Glover and
So-
Chuck Norris and all these guys.
The only reason I put a half dozen movies every year is because there was like 3 or 4 years where he only did 3 movies. But literally, there were years where he did 10.
Yeah.
10 movies in 1 year.
Oh, the guy's always working. And I think that video game did already come out and bomb.
Oh,
but,
did it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's a shame because it was such a cool
It
concept.
looks really cool.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of
I'll have
fun.
to look that up. So to round out more of the cast, just a couple quick hits. Alan Blumenfeld was cast as Mr. Liggett. Blumenfeld's best known for playing Greg Grunberg's father in both TV shows Felicity and Heroes. James Tolkien, also one of the Department of Defense guys, cast as Mr. Wiggin. Tolkien's best known as the principal in the Back to the Future series.
McFly, what are you doing, McFly?
He literally plays the same character in every single movie.
McFly, you're causing a lot of problems for me, McFly.
Maury Chaykin was cast as Jim Sting. Chaykin is a character actor best known for playing Detective Nero Wolfe, among many, many others.
One of the movies I remember him most in is Unstrung Heroes, with he and Michael Richards playing these brothers that are kind of hoarders.
Oh,
and
weird.
They have this nephew that comes and hangs with them. I think he lives with them for a while or something.
Yeah.
But his portrayal of this psychologically damaged man, and Michael Richards too, their performances were amazing. If you haven't seen Unstrung Heroes, I 100% recommend it. It's a great little indie film.
What year was it?
It was like 1995.
It's so funny because we were watching this and you're like, Maury Chaykin's so good. And I was like, wait, that's Maury Chaykin?
Yeah, he was also
Because I'm so used to him being like the older,
Yeah.
like gray-haired, like guy that I've seen in all this stuff, and
Yeah.
it was like he looks so young.
The Devil in a Blue Dress, another amazing movie. That
Yeah, I
he
mean, he was in Twins. Like he was in a ton of stuff. He was
yeah.
so good, so good.
just a great, great actor. One of those guys that always did great work, no matter if he was in Meatballs 3
Right.
or if he was in Unstrung Heroes. You know, it was always the same amazing performance.
Yeah, and somebody that we'll go deeper into once we he's in something that he's a little more in. Yeah. Just the one scene that he was in here, having to take control of Eddie Deason.
Yeah.
Who was cast as Malvin. Deason is best known for wandering around intersections in Hollywood, muttering to himself.
Hey, I'm Eddie Deason.
Eddie Deason was in a ton of stuff. Honestly, as we talked about, I think you were the one who mentioned this, that it's a really great portrayal of like Asperger's syndrome.
Yeah,
Before people
yeah.
knew what it was.
He's definitely on the spectrum.
Hey, give me that. I want to see it.
And then, you know,
Well, and the fact that Maury Chaykin is like, hey,
hey, do you remember when we talked about you saying, hey, you remember when we talked about you being off-putting and doing the wrong thing? Well, you're doing it now.
Yeah, it was like, oh,
Okay, Jim. Okay, Jim. Whatever you say, Jim.
yeah, it was a great. I mean, for the small part, it was great.
Yeah.
And it worked. I mean, that scene totally worked. Like even the greatest acting from Maury Chaykin, where as soon as Eddie Deason started talking, he just gets that sad, like, oh, jeez.
I want to see it, Jim. Let me see it, Jim.
And also, I love Ali Sheedy's reaction just watching these guys. She's just like, what am I watching? What is this?
Why am I hanging out with this guy?
This is funny. Ha 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 ha. This is funny. It's government, Jim. It is.
God, the back door. Everybody knows about the back door.
Don't give away our secrets, Jim. You're giving away our secrets about the back door.
You can only take Deason in small doses.
No, oh no. He was in the perfect amount in this movie.
A little bit of Deason goes a long way.
A little bit of Deason on my mind.
Yeah. Is Eddie Deason still alive?
He is. He's not acting anymore.
Oh.
But he is 66. He's still around. I mean, maybe he's not acting because he's not getting the parts. But
Maybe. But he was in such demand
Yeah.
that he had to like turn down a lot of roles because he was working all the time.
yeah, he worked constantly. I mean, obviously I remember him most from Grease, but like he was anytime anybody in the 80s needed that part.
Oh, yeah.
It was Eddie Deason.
He was supposed to play Spaz and Meatballs.
Oh, really?
Turned it down to do 1941.
Oh.
He also had to turn down being Eagle Bauer in Rock and Roll High School
Oh.
because he's just too many people wanted some Deason.
Wow.
Get yourself some Deason. It's a season for Deason. Deason season.
Production started with Martin Brest, and things went swimmingly until 12 days into the shoot when Brest had an on-set argument with the producers and was summarily fired from the movie.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, do you know Privy to the argument?
He essentially, well, okay. Apparently, Brest was taking a darker approach to the film than the producers wanted, and when they received dailies of dour-looking Broderick and Sheedy, they took umbrage, which led to the on-set spat.
Okay.
They were like, essentially, it was creative differences. Why it took them that long to realize it, I don't know.
Well, maybe they were giving him a shot, and it just probably kept getting more and more dour.
Yeah,
And I agree with the producers this time.
I agree too. Martin Brest is a fantastic director,
Yeah.
but this movie needed joy.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, Ali Sheedy's character is an adventurer.
Right.
She loves this adventure. You know, she wants to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick is kind of thrust into this thing, and he knows the reality of it because he was arrested and
Right,
had to go through all this stuff and escape and whatever. And she's just kind of like, I'm here. Let's have fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But they have this really great, fun relationship, and they never succumb to fatalism, and they never give up hope that they could fix this. They never give up hope that they
Yeah.
can solve this problem.
Right.
To the point where they, have to push the adults to solve the problem.
The fact that you don't need to make it more sad and more serious because it already is.
Exactly. The whole situation is effed.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful thinking about the fact that the world might die.
But honestly, if you're a teenager going through this, you're probably having some fun. Look, I
Yeah.
remember being in super sketchy situations as a teenager
Yeah.
that I made it out of them.
Right.
And it makes a great story, and
Right,
it was a
right.
great experience. But it just is easily with just a tiny little hair of difference could have been a tragedy.
Right, exactly. Unfortunately, this put a screeching halt to Brest's directing career, and he did not direct for almost 3 years until he did Beverly Hills Cop in '84.
Well, I mean, 3 years is bad, but it's not that bad.
No, but he could have had a much bigger career than he did. Which, I mean, granted, Beverly Hills Cop was the hugest movie that year,
Yes.
and he was fine.
Yeah.
But, it's just one of those. It's unfortunate.
Martin Brest came out okay. He had a great career after this.
I want to say I think the producers probably blacklisted him and talked shit about him for quite a while.
Well,
I just don't think he handled the criticism well, and that
Probably
was like,
not.
well, why do you want to work with this guy?
well, maybe it humbled him a bit.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it did. The producers hired John Badham to take over directing the picture. Badham worked in television for years on Universal television series like Cannon and The Bold Ones.
Cannon, got another fat guy.
He then directed several acclaimed TV movies, including Isn't It Shocking? Isn't It Shocking? In 1973, a comedy mystery starring Alan Alda, and The Law in 1974, starring Judd Hirsch. Yet again, you can find both of these on YouTube if you want to watch them. Nice. His first feature film was The Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings in 1976, about a team of enterprising ex-Negro League baseball players in the era of racial segregation.
It's actually a really great film, but it has what was up with these films in the 70s with these 5-year-long titles?
I don't know. It starred Billy D. Williams, James Earl Jones, and Richard Pryor.
Such a good movie. And Richard Pryor is so young and unknown in it.
Yeah.
And oh god, and it's so great to see James Earl Jones in the flesh.
Yeah.
And not just
He was super young too. Super skinny.
And such a great actor too. People don't remember what an amazing actor he was. I mean, just Field of Dreams.
Yeah. So good.
Good Lord, that's one of my favorite performances of his. He is so good at the curmudgeon and the coming around.
Yeah.
Another, enemies becoming friends. So I love it.
It's like in The Sandlot.
I love him so much.
Yeah, he's great. His breakthrough came in 1977 when he replaced John G. Avildsen as the director of Saturday Night Fever, a massive worldwide hit starring John Travolta.
Yeah, I'm gonna go dancing. I'm dancing. I got the fever.
Apparently, Badham became the guy that you hired if somebody else got fired. That was the thing. He directed Dracula in 1979, starring Frank Langella.
Oh God,
which is a fantastic movie.
It is so 70s. It is awesome.
I love that movie.
Oh, same.
Watching Frank Langella as Dracula running down a hallway is one of my favorite things.
So good.
And he also directed Whose Life Is It Anyway in 1981, starring Richard Dreyfuss.
Whose life is it anyway? It's mine.
That's about a guy. Have you seen that?
No.
So this was one of the first movies where, Richard Dreyfuss was paralyzed from the neck down, and he wants to die.
Right.
Hence the title.
Whose life is it anyway? Is it mine? Because I want to stop it.
But the whole thing was about him getting, being able to die, basically,
Right,
with dignity. It was a very interesting movie. I think he was probably nominated for some Academy Awards.
Yeah. Badham directed a series of relative hits in the 80s, including American Flyers in 1985, starring Kevin Costner. He directed Short Circuit in 1986, starring Ali Sheedy and Steve Guttenberg.
Number 5 is alive.
Still pissed off about that line. Stakeout in 1987, starring Richard Dreyfuss and Emilio Estevez.
We're gonna stick out. Oh, everybody, we're gonna have some snacks, and we're gonna watch to see if the criminals come home.
He moved into action movies in the early 90s and eventually focused on directing TV.
I actually love the Stakeout movies, both of them.
And another Stakeout.
I love them both. He and Emilio Estevez, for some reason, had this insane chemistry.
Yeah.
And the first one was so funny and so well done. I make fun of him a lot, but I'm a huge Richard Dreyfuss fan.
He's good. He's just easy to imitate.
Oh, completely. Yeah. And, he has a past of being kind of a dick, so it's easy to make fun of him. But the guy is just absolutely incredible.
Badham's last directing effort was for the TV show Siren in 2018.
Okay.
Which I remember that coming out. I never saw it. It was about, I think it was about mermaids.
Yes.
Yeah. Several of the scenes shot by Brest remain in the final film. I'm guessing the opening probably was, because it was certainly without joy.
Yeah, it was. Turn the key, sir.
Yeah. Badham said that Brest had...
taken a somewhat dark approach to the story and the way it was shot. It was like Broderick and Sheedy were doing some Nazi undercover thing, so it was my job to make it seem like they were having fun. And it was kind of exciting.
According to Badham, Broderick and Sheedy were stiff as boards when they came into the soundstage, having both Brest's dark vision and the idea that they would soon be fired.
Poor kids.
I know. Can you imagine? It's like, yeah, you're finally in this big movie. Yeah, your director got fired.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like they were big names or anything.
No.
Especially Sheedy, you know?
Yeah. Badham did 12 to 14 takes of the first shot to loosen the actors up. At one point, yeah, I know, I don't know how that would loosen them up. I would just get mad of like, what do you want from me?
Hey, I'm loosening you guys up, loosey-goosey.
At one point, Badham decided to race with the two actors around the soundstage, with the one who came last having to sing a song to the crew.
All right, come on, let's run around the stage. Whoever loses has to sing us.
Do we have to? Can we just shoot? Can we just shoot?
No,
the
we're
movie?
going to run.
We're going to be here for 12 hours and we have to do this.
Badham lost and sang The Happy Wanderer, the silliest song he could think of. It's an old, it's like a 150-year-old, like, folk tune.
Actually good for him. I mean, this is really smart because he's resetting the tone of the film, and he's making it lighter and he's making it more fun, and he's like, look, we're going to have fun on this movie. It's not going to be this dour Badham production of sour dour doos.
Dour Breast production.
Dour Breast production.
Your new production.
Yeah. We're going to have fun, baby. That's what he said.
Yeah. Badham renamed the computer WOPR, feeling the name of NORAD's single integrated operational plan was
boring and told you nothing.
The name WOPR played off the Whopper hamburger in a general sense of something going whop.
Whop, 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 whop.
Just don't understand.
Whoppers.
What goes whop?
I don't know. I am going whop, whop.
I just like that it's like John Badham's like, yeah, everything goes whop. You know, whop.
Shall we play a nice game of chess?
Whop, whop, whop.
Whop, whop, whop.
It was also a joke based on Burger, the BRGR, a real computer NORAD once used to predict war strategies.
Okay, neat.
Yeah, so it made sense. The NORAD command center, built for the movie, cost $1 million, making it the most expensive set ever constructed at the time.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing, man. Like, this movie, I was a Compu kid. I even went to a thing called Compu Kids.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, where we learned how to program, which was basically go to home. You made a snake game.
Yeah.
Was one of the things. But just the technology of the time was so advanced. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God, he's watching TV on his computer.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the computer's talking. He has all these different, and the games and everything. It was like, oh man, the computers are nothing like this. This is total fantasy. It was just so crazy how insanely advanced everything was. And you look at it now, and it's just they didn't even have the beep.
No.
It was just like
Yeah.
But I mean, it totally made me. Yeah, the one thing that it did get right was the brochure of the new computers.
Yeah,
I just remember Dream looking at those things
as
a kid,
yeah.
just like, oh, drooling.
It's the new fantasy computer.
Exactly.
Coming to your house.
But just the thought of being able to do all that stuff with your home computer, it was almost like that, remember the Sandra Bullock movie, The Net, that came out, and she ordered a pizza from her computer, and everybody's like, oh, that's baloney.
What? You can't do that.
Nobody could do that.
Yeah,
man,
how far we've come.
I know. Yes.
The producers were not allowed into the actual NORAD command center.
Really?
Security clearance. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So they had to imagine what it was like. Badham said that the actual NORAD command center isn't nearly as elaborate as the one in the movie, calling the set
NORAD's wet dream of itself. Ew.
Yeah, apparently I didn't put this in, but their advisors, when they came in, they're like, oh, if we only really had the money to do this.
Right, exactly. It's just a bunch of crappy green screened computers. And
I really think the NORAD command center is about the size of this studio.
Probably.
It is tiny.
Well, now it's probably different.
I hope so. I mean, actually, to be
the Army
honest,
doesn't really upgrade.
It's probably even smaller. I mean, because back then, most of the computers were huge.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, well, here's the thing. Also, they had a tour group
Yeah, I know.
going
I know.
through with
Visitors,
cameras and
yeah.
stuff.
Oh my God! When he's sit down. Now
down.
push this button.
No, that button.
Oh my God! You blew up the world.
Oh, just kidding. Did you poop yourself? Oh, sorry. Let's go get some beverages.
I did the same thing to the mayor of New Jersey.
Could do.
or whatever.
But I know that they had to do that because it was a device to get him out of the
Right.
thing, which worked. But it's just, I love how they have this, Midwest tourism group with cameras and crap all
Yeah.
over them in the most secretive bunker in all of the United States.
Hey, only half of them actually worked for the Soviets. Okay.
Hey, take as many pictures as you want, guys. We're really proud of this room. Would you like to see some top secret? It's like going to Mar-a-Lago.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for it. WarGames did well at the box office, grossing a worldwide total of $124.6 million off a $12 million budget.
Oh, yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it came out at the perfect time because this was just when people were really getting into home computing and computers.
Right.
It was one of those perfect time, perfect place situations
Yeah.
where, and it also kind of defined hacking and computers and stuff for a while.
Yeah. WarGames was nominated for 3 Academy Awards: Best Cinematography, losing to Fanny and Alexander;
Of course.
Sound, Best Sound, losing to The Right Stuff;
Yeah, this is just like, this is the same Academy Awards that Return of the Jedi won, or lost all these
yeah,
awards.
and writing, screenplay written directly for the screen, losing to Tender Mercies.
Tender Mercies was a really good movie.
Oh,
though.
was it? Okay, I've never seen it.
Yes, well, it's Robert Duvall playing country singer.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. So, hacking wasn't technically illegal when the movie came out
Do
in
that again
1983.
without clearing your throat. Sorry.
Hacking wasn't technically illegal when the movie came out in 1983. The movie inspired Congress to create the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1984.
I love when these movies change society and it point out something that people, which is so weird. It's like nobody thought, who's going to hack into a computer? What's that all about?
Representative Dan Glickman, a Democrat from Kansas, opened the proceedings by saying,
We're going to show about 4 minutes from the movie War Games, which outlines the problem fairly clearly.
a House committee report said,
War Games showed a realistic representation of the automatic dialing and access capabilities of the personal computer.
President Ronald Reagan, a family friend of Lasker's, watched the film and discussed the plot with members of Congress, his advisors, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Well, what is it, fellas? Do you think they could get in and do the hackings and somehow make us weaker?
Reagan's interest in the film is credited with leading to the enactment 18 months later of NSDD 145, the first presidential directive on computer security.
Said this before when we were doing the day after. Just show Ronald Reagan some movies and he'll change his mind on everything.
We've 2-2 so far. I mean,
know.
Yeah,
They should have showed, like I said, they should have showed him the birdcage.
they should have.
And he would have cured AIDS.
The release of this film resulted in a substantial spike in interest in computer hacking and a commensurate increase in actual penetration of computer systems.
Oh, yeah, because it basically, people were like, wait, you can do this?
Exactly. As a result, the industry was forced to make several seemingly obvious changes, like creating accounts with default rather than no password on newly installed systems.
Yeah.
This is because prior to the film's release, it was just assumed most computer systems would only be accessed by authorized persons, and the odds of someone breaking in was felt to be vanishingly low, except for high-value systems such as banks or the military.
Sure, and anything that was online, because most computers weren't online back then.
Yeah.
You had to physically put your phone into a cradle
Yeah.
to get on
You had
online.
to
footies.
really want to get online
Yes.
to get online back then.
Yes, and it would seem, though, that, yeah, I mean, and if you had anything that was accessible, then you had to have some sort of security.
Yeah. A video game version of this movie was made in 1984 for the ColecoVision, Commodore 64, and Atari 8-bit computer.
I had the ColecoVision one.
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember. I think it was kind of like a Missile Command type of deal.
Yeah. The game started out greeting you as Professor Falcon, and you would play a game of global thermonuclear war.
Hello, Professor Falcon. Where have you been all these years?
Your objective was to stop nuclear war from occurring by protecting the country's various military vehicles and weapons in a set time limit without reaching DEFCON 1.
Shall we play a nice game of chess?
Yes. In November 2006, pre-production began on a sequel titled WarGames: The Dead Code.
The Dead Code.
We tried watching part of it.
Good Lord.
It is not good. It was directed by Stuart Gillard and starred Matt Lanter as a hacker named Will Farmer facing off with a government supercomputer called Ripley.
Yes, and they called it a she.
Yeah.
Computers don't have genders, Adam.
It is it.
It isn't it.
Gillard is a TV writer and director whose biggest feature film was 1993's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the one where they go back in time.
Yeah, the best one of the bunch. Yeah, we watched about 5 minutes of that and then watched the trailer, and it is bad.
I did read through the entire plot, and the WOPR actually makes an appearance, actually becomes one of the characters, and Ripley actually tries to destroy the WOPR with those bombs like we saw at the beginning, with the drones and the things. Like, it decides apparently it wants to be the only supercomputer in the world.
So the WOPR's still around?
The WOPR was being used to run...
Burger King?
No, like Colorado Springs, like... electricity, like
Oh,
net.
the grid, like
the grid. Yeah, thank you. Like the
power grid?
Power grid. Thank you. It was running the power grid. But yeah, it decides it's going to drop bombs on it to destroy it because it doesn't want it to be any better than it or something. I don't know.
It is time to destroy the WOPR.
Yeah.
Do not destroy me. I am WOPR.
I am Ripley. I will destroy you.
I am WOPR. I am running power.
I am Ripley. I have control of all of the bombs, and the bombs will drop on you.
That is literally a scene from the movie.
Don't do it. It's still playing the games.
Matt Lanter would go on to voice Anakin Skywalker in the animated film Star Wars The Clone Wars and the TV show of the same name and other media of the Star Wars franchise.
Hey, Snips.
Yeah, that was totally him. I had no idea.
He was great, by the way.
Yeah.
I really love the Clone Wars, and he was really good as Anakin Skywalker. And
Yeah.
he was really good in the evolution of the character through the series, getting closer and closer to the dark side, and he did a really subtle, nice job of slowly turning the character from Anakin into Darth.
Yeah, he was great. MGM released the sequel directly to DVD on July 29th, 2008, along with the 25th anniversary edition DVD of WarGames.
I remember, because I think I was still buying movies back then.
Did you get the 25th anniversary?
I don't know if I did. I'd have to look in the old collection.
Yeah.
But I do remember watching this. I think I might have picked this up at Blockbuster or gotten it on, Netflix when you used to get the DVDs.
disc. Yeah.
And I got about as far into it as we got into it and was like,
So bad. To promote the sequel, the original film returned to selected theaters as a one-night-only 25th anniversary event on July 24th, 2008.
See what this could have been?
An interactive media reboot of WarGames was announced by MGM in 2015. The 6-episode series was released in March 2018.
What?
Yeah, I tried to find more information about it, and it's like an online, like, you kind of watch it, you kind of make decisions.
Yeah.
Like, it obviously did not set the world on fire because no one's ever heard of it.
Well, the problem, the reason why this movie works so well is because it's in the nascent times of computers, and it's easier to do this. Everything done in this movie was fairly plausible.
Yeah, well, and especially with the fact that you could have literally done whatever they wanted because
Right.
nobody knew what hacking was.
Exactly. And the quaint little things with the phone and the payphone and all this stuff made for a great adventure. Doing it today, there's just too much technology. There's too many
it would be
things.
too hard.
There'd be drones and this and cell phones and tracking and all this kind of crap. And it was, I don't know if quaint is the right word for war games, but it was kind of a quainter time, a simpler time where all this stuff could work. And it didn't have a lot of convoluted baloney that
Right.
you'd have to go through now to make this type of
Yeah,
movie.
you would have to bend over backwards to make sure that something like this could happen today.
The only way to remake it, I think, is to do a period piece.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
that is what it is. It's not...
Yeah, it wouldn't work otherwise.
Yeah, because it's just, and it needs the kid, it needs all this stuff. And I think from what I watched from the sequel that we watched, it was just, we didn't have these very likable characters.
Right.
Especially his friend, who was just interminable. I think he ended up getting killed or something in it, hopefully.
Oh, that would have been the best part of the movie.
But yeah, this is another one of these movies that came at the exact perfect time.
Right.
It needed all of these, like so many of the movies this month, It needed all of these things to come together to actually make it work and make it happen, and it did. It's one of those serendipitous films that everything is working on its way and makes it a classic.
Yeah, the last a few months after the movie came out in June of '83, there was the last time that we came really close to destroying the world.
Yeah.
And it was another one of those instances where a Russian, a Soviet, just goes, "I'm not turning the key. Like, I'm not doing that." And saved us from destruction. This happened like 3 months later.
There's so many Soviet heroes that we'll never hear about that have saved us from nuclear annihilation. I'm sure there's some American heroes, too, that have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I can't imagine us not getting close and making that mistake.
I'm positive the only reason we don't know about them is because the Soviet Union collapsed and all of that information came out.
Right, and it's still classified because we don't want to make it sound like there was any sort of close,
Right.
Whatever. But again, if you haven't seen this movie, do it.
Oh, it's so good.
It is an amazing time capsule of computers in the 80s and the Defense Department in the 80s and just kind of this whole theme of this month, which is a lot to do with the Cold War and a lot to do with nuclear annihilation and the threat of a nuclear strike. And this is a much more palatable and easily digestible story than The Day After.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say a double feature with that.
No.
But it really is a fun adventure with these two kids basically saving the world.
It really holds up.
Yeah.
I mean, considering it is with technology that is 40 years old and that people have no idea what it is. Like, you use a phone to get on the internet? That's weird.
Yeah.
But it holds up because it lives inside that world.
It does. And the dangers are still around today, the dangers of nuclear annihilation.
Yeah.
As we've said,
they
we're
haven't
close
gone
to-
away.
No, we're actually closer to midnight now than we were back then.
Yeah, we are very much closer to annihilation now than we ever have been, but everyone's been living with it for 40 years, so people are like, okay.
Yeah. This, exactly. Yeah, we're just so complacent. But if you haven't seen this movie, get yourself some Showtime and watch it. You're going to have a great time. Watch it with your kids if you got kids. Watch it with your folks. They'll enjoy watching it again.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a fun adventure with some great acting, some great writing, and a very, very tense third act.
Yeah.
It does a great job of just that as the WOPR is getting the code, the nuclear launch code, and everything's going on. It's so tense. Although Adam is so right. It's so distracting looking at Vulcan with his eyes
smiley.
open. Okay, come on. You can do this.
Juan and Clay.
Yeah.
2 numbers, 3 numbers.
It's got 5 numbers. It's got 7 numbers.
Shut up.
Yeah, we know.
It's up on the screen.
I could solve this in 2 seconds, but I want you to do it. I want you to feel good about yourself.
It's such a great movie. It's highly rewatchable.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. And it literally defined that era of computers.
And it did a good job of staying away from stereotyping the military and the nerds.
Yeah.
And it made even the, Jimbo and Eddie Deasen's characters, they were well-rounded characters.
Yeah.
They weren't just, yes, there was a lot of exposition from them about back doors. Don't give away all our secrets, Jim.
But it didn't feel like exposition.
No, it didn't. It felt like you really went to this place.
Yeah.
And they felt like real guys, especially knowing if you've ever worked in IT, it was very realistic,
Yes,
and
yes.
and just above all else, a really fun summer flick.
Yeah, it's really great. We'll be back next week. We have our stepdad show.
Yeah.
Talk more about some June Doom
Oh, baby.
and all the fun stuff we've been watching and playing and,
Yes.
and doing
And dooming.
and dooming.
Oh, the doom. Oh, the doom of it all. The doom of it all. Yeah, thanks. The fucking vice president's name, what is he? Thanks, Al Gore. Lemony Snickets. Sorry.
Corbin is actually named after Peter Pan Arthey. Wow.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, America's Funniest Home Videos, already in progress.